What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Sucker Free Sports Talk. I am your host, Sam James, and this is your Chicago sports talk show for everything Bulls, Bears, and more. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Illinois football and them dropping the ball against Michigan State. We're going to talk about the Bulls' failure to close out close games. We're going to talk about a possible Anthony Davis trade. I'm going to give you my NFL power rankings. But before we get into all that, we have to talk about Justin Fields' continued dominance, even in a Bears loss. Bears lose again. Bears lose to the Dolphins 35-32. But Justin Fields continues to dominate. He continues to be the best player on the field. He continues to be one of the best players in the NFL. He killed the Dolphins all day long with his legs. He was exceptional on the ground. 178 yards rushing. That was the most rushing yards by a QB in NFL history. Really impressive to see there. He got out of the pocket all day, whether it was design runs or on his own getting out of the pocket. Took care of business all day against the Miami Dolphins. Offense as a whole looked really good. They continue to run the ball well. Really good to see from the Bears and Justin Fields. Now, is this sustainable? Can a quarterback sustain this going forward, not only this year, but in their career? I don't know. We'll see, but if you look at other guys around the league, the only guy really doing it is Lamar Jackson, and he's been doing it for 5 years now. So we'll see with Justin Fields. So far, so good. Like I said, this guy never really gets hurt. He always seems to never get injured. So it looks good so far, and also the passing game has looked a lot better. These last few weeks, they're getting the ball, they're punching the ball in the end zone. Cole Kmet has really turned it on. Really good to see from Cole. No touchdowns really his first 2 years in the league, and these last 2 weeks he's had 3 TDs. 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. Good to see from Cole Kmet. He's fun to watch. When he gets the ball and gets that head of steam going, running over guys. He had that one play last week where he trucked a couple guys on his way to the end zone. Good to see from Cole Kmet. Fields didn't really make too many bad throws either. You saw it during the start of the year. He was missing some throws, missing some open guys, throwing some interceptions. He didn't really have any bad throws last week besides one interception that got called back on a holding penalty. But besides that, really accurate with the ball, confident with the ball, really good with his legs. Really good to see from the Bears and Justin Fields on offense. Now, with that being said, the Bears' defense continues to struggle. Bears' defense sucks right now. Really disappointed to see on Sunday against the Dolphins. Alan Williams, the defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus. I said that one of my keys to victory against the Dolphins was they were going to have to generate some pressure, and they did not do that. 0 sacks and 0 turnovers on Sunday against the Dolphins. I said they're going to have to generate something here. They're going to have to get a pass rush going besides the front four. They're going to have to generate some blitz. They're going to have to scheme up some blitzes with the safeties and corners and linebackers because the front four isn't getting it done right now. I thought Dominique Robinson and Trevis Gibson would be a little bit better at this point, but they haven't been. They're not winning their one-on-one matchups, so this defense just isn't getting the job done right now. I think the trades of Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn have really hurt them these last couple of weeks, and you saw it in that first half. Tua Tagovailoa absolutely picked the Bears apart, just like the Cowboys did a week before. It was ugly to watch. I don't even think Tua Tagovailoa had an incompletion until the third quarter. They got to be more creative here. Defensive coordinator has to be a little more creative. Help this team out because it's so frustrating to finally see the offense get going and then the defense drops the ball and the defense is officially one of the worst in the NFL. The refereeing on Sunday was absolutely awful. All the Bears fans know it. We got screwed again. I don't care what you say. Yeah, it's an excuse, but at the end of the day, those were some of the most terrible calls I had ever seen as a Bears fan. And it's not the first week it's happened to us. You saw it against Washington. Dante Pettis in the end zone clearly got tackled, clearly was pass interference, wasn't called, could have cost us the game. Against the Packers earlier in the season, the Justin Fields QB sneak that got called down on that 4th down run, clearly a touchdown. And once again, the referees are screwing us. The intentional grounding call, it was in the 4th quarter, it was a key drive, a key stop for the Bears. And Tua Tagovailoa was about to get sacked, and he threw it right into the dirt. The referees threw the flag, and then they picked it up because they said number 30 was in the area. He was blocking like 10, 15 feet away. Wasn't even close. Should have been intentional grounding. Pass interference call on Eddie Jackson was complete bull. He was going for the ball, going for the interception. The defensive player has just as much a right to go after the ball as the receiver does. That was bullshit. And then the Claypool non-call on the pass interference. The referee is sitting there watching it. It's clear as day. Everybody could see it on TV. The Miami Dolphins get that call against Eddie Jackson, and then a guy tackles Claypool before the ball gets there, and they don't call it. I don't know what the fuck they're looking at. That was some bullshit. Drove me nuts. And then ultimately, like I said, it is an excuse. And on that fourth down play, Equinemius St. Brown drops the ball. I'm not really sure why he's in the game. We have some competent wide receivers now in N'Keal Harry, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney. That's 3 receivers. I don't know why St. Brown is in the game on a key drive like that. He ended up dropping the ball. I mean, look to see him fall out of the rotation here going forward.
Send him off! Send the drifting gate off! Get him off the field!
But with that, the Bears move on to play the Detroit Lions on Sunday in Chicago at noon. Lions are coming off a big win against the Green Bay Packers. Lions won 15-9. That was one of the worst games Aaron Rodgers has played in his career. He had those 3 interceptions, only put up 9 points. Detroit statistically had one of the worst defenses going into that game in the NFL. I think actually the worst defense in the NFL. Their offense has started off the season doing pretty good, but the last few weeks has kind of faded out a little bit. Jared Goff has had a pretty good year, but he's kind of gotten a little cold of late. A couple guys to watch out for in this game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a pretty good wide receiver. Equinemius is St. Brown's brother, who is on the Bears, who I just talked about. And DeAndre Swift, running back. Jamal Williams, another running back. So they could get that running game going. We've seen the Bears give up some big runs here these last couple weeks. Keys to victory in this game. Continued growth of Justin Fields. You've seen it. He's had 3 pretty good games in a row here. Let's get another one. Let's get the pass game going. You're going to see Detroit try to take away Justin Fields' legs. They're going to put spies on him. They're going to use safety blitzes, linebacker blitzes. So you're going to have to hit some throws over the top. You're going to have to hit some contested catches. And we'll see what happens there. But Detroit's going to take away Justin Fields' legs. So we'll see if he can get going on the ground. And if not, he's going to have to hit some throws. And then my other key to the game is the defense is going to have to generate some pressure on Jared Goff. We've seen it in the past. Jared Goff does not play good in Soldier Field, especially in the cold weather. So we'll see what happens there. But the Bears defense has to generate some pressure. They have to get some blitzes going. They have to be more creative on defense in order to keep the game close, because we can't keep giving up these drives to start the game where it's the first drive is a touchdown, the second drive is a touchdown, the third drive is a field goal, the fourth drive is a touchdown. You're not going to win games like that. So they got to get more creative. They got to generate some stops. My prediction for this game, I think the Bears end their 2-game losing streak against the worst team in the North. I think the Bears win 27-26. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's get into my NFL power rankings. Like I've said in previous episodes, the NFL has been all over the place this year. Week to week, you don't know what's going to happen. Some of the better teams, some of the projected better teams coming into this year have not been very good. With that, at number 10, I'm going with the Miami Dolphins. We got a good look at them last week. That offense is dynamite. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Yeah, it was against a bad Bears defense, but at the same time, that passing game, really good. They don't have much of a run game, and their defense can struggle at times. But I have the Miami Dolphins at number 10. At number 9, I have the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow can put up points with the best of them. Saw it last week. They opened up a 28-0 lead on the Carolina Panthers. Even without Jamar Chase, that Bengals offense is lethal. Joe Mixon had a big week last week. Cincinnati Bengals at number 9. At number 8, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, some people are higher on San Francisco than I am. The last time they played, they had a bye last week, but before that, they beat the Rams. Christian McCaffrey had a really hot game, and a lot of people are hot for the 49ers right now. I think they're a pretty good team, but they did struggle this year. They did lose to the Bears, and that defense can struggle. That offense can get stagnant at times. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's a good QB, but he's not a great QB. But with that, I still like San Francisco at number 8. At number 7, I'm going with the New York Jets. The Jets have made a resurgence. Best team since like 2010. I love that defense. They're coming off an upset win over the Bills. They beat the Packers a few weeks ago. Some really good studs on defense. And Zach Wilson, he's a pretty good quarterback, and he's getting better week to week. Number 6, I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings, the king of the North as we stand right now. Just an all-around good team, good defense, good offense, good playmakers. Kirk Cousins continues to get the job done year in and year out for all the shit he takes. He is actually a pretty good quarterback. So I like Minnesota at number 6. At number 5, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens just continue to win games. Consistently a good team. They just play winning football, and I think the addition of Roquan Smith is going to really help this team. You saw it last week on Monday night. He was playing really well, made some big tackles. I like Baltimore at number 5. At number 4, I am going with the Buffalo Bills. This was the team that a lot of people, including myself, had at number 1 throughout the season, but Josh Allen is looking at an injury to his elbow right now. A lot of people are concerned about this. Like I said, they lost to the Jets last week. They've had some other tough losses to Miami. Maybe Buffalo isn't as good as we thought. We'll see what happens here going forward if Josh Allen misses some time or not. But Buffalo is still one of the better teams in the league at number 4. At number 3, I am going with the Dallas Cowboys. After a rough start to the season, that first game they looked pretty bad, but Cowboys have turned it around here. Their defense is dynamite. That pass rush, Micah Parsons is the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. Offense, Dak Prescott, they're getting it going. That run game, all around good team. Special teams, defense, offense. I like Dallas at number 3. At number 2, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. All they do is win, man. Year in, year out. Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, they just find a way to get the job done. You saw it last week. They were trailing a lot of that, big part of that game to the Tennessee Titans, but at the end of the day, they win 20-17. I like Kansas City at number 2, and at number 1, you got to go with the Eagles. Reason being, they're the only 8-0 team in the league, the only undefeated team in the league. I like the Eagles. Those are my NFL power rankings. If you agree, if you disagree, leave a comment below and let me know where I was right or wrong. All right, let's get into some Illini football. Illinois dropped the ball last week against Michigan State. Really disappointing to see. Really frustrating game to watch. I got to admit, I was cussing at the TV on this one. I mean, Illinois started off the game with the interception. Sidney Brown got that interception, and Illinois got it down to the goal line. And then they revert to some of the same mistakes they made earlier in the year. Getting really predictable there on the goal line, trying to run it in 3 plays in a row, and then getting an incompletion on 4th down. You got to punch the ball in there. You're starting the game off. If you get a touchdown there, the game's in your hands. They were unable to punch it in there. Play calling was just bad all game. I have to say, the offensive coordinator, he's got to do a better job. So predictable. Michigan State was run blitzing the entire game, and Illinois did not have a counter for it. You got to run some screen passes. You got to use some play action. You can't just keep handing it to Chase Brown on the shotgun right up the middle every single play. Michigan State knew it was coming the whole game. Their offense actually did a pretty good job using the screen game and play action, and Illinois just failed to do it. They still had a chance to win there at the end, but they just ran out of time. Tommy DeVito was driving them down the field, but at the end of the day, they ran out of time, and they lose to a bad Michigan State team, and they fall in the rankings from number 14 to number 21. And they move on to play Purdue this Sunday at 11 a.m. in Champaign. A lot of people were looking at this game weeks ago as the key to the Big Ten West, who was going to be the Big Ten West champion. But Purdue lost last week to Iowa, so now you have 3 teams, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Purdue, with all identical records in the Big Ten. Illinois holds the tiebreaker over Iowa and Wisconsin, so if they win this game against Purdue, they actually will control their own destiny in the Big Ten West, so this is a big game for Illinois. Like I said, Purdue lost their game last week against Iowa, 24-3. Iowa is not that good of a team, their offense especially, so as long as Illinois can mix it up a little bit and learn from their mistakes last week, they should be able to take care of Purdue this week. Look for Tommy DeVito, Isaiah Williams to have a big game, and look for Chase Brown to get back on track. Aiden O'Connell, the Purdue quarterback, he is pretty good, but we've seen it all year. This Illinois defense is the top scoring defense in college football, even though they had a bad week last week against Michigan State. Keys to victory, I think play calling has to improve. Defense needs to get back on track, establish the run game, and my prediction for this game is Illinois wins 31-17 and takes control of their own destiny in the Big Ten West. All right, let's get into some Bulls talk.
This is a sucker-free sports talk production. Bulls talk.
The Chicago Bulls continue to be inconsistent. They're consistently inconsistent. And now they're below 500 after a loss last night to the New Orleans Pelicans. Frustrating game to watch. Bulls just do not have the intensity or discipline needed to extend leads and close out games. They also don't have the smarts. I was thinking about this on the way over here. They just do not have enough smart players on their team. You know, you can have all the athleticism, all the skill in the world, but if you don't have a basketball IQ, you're going to struggle to close out games. The defensive rotations have tightened up. I have liked that the past few weeks. But as the defensive rotations have tightened up, the offense has gotten really sloppy. So many turnovers. They've had 91 turnovers in the last 5 games. That's 18 a game. That is terrible. Transition, being careless with the ball. Zach LaVine doing his usual drive to the basket and get the ball stripped. Vucevic being silly with the ball. Vucevic drove me crazy last game. Got absolutely dominated by Jonas Valanciunas, and the whole game all he could do was just cry to the refs. I don't even know what he was complaining about, really. Just being a little brat, not being tough enough. I love Valanciunas because he's a tough player. He's a tough center, and he's the complete opposite of Vucevic. At this point, you know, I'm starting to be done with Vucevic. You know, it looks like a bad trade for what they had to give up to get him. At this point, I'm kind of saying trade him and get what you can for him. Just so sloppy, shoots too many threes. He could be a dominant post player if he wanted to be, but he doesn't have the will to be that. Another note from the game, Pat Williams, he continues to play better. I thought he did a pretty good job defensively on Zion Williamson. But at the end of the game, Billy decided to bench him. Like I've said throughout the season, Billy just does not have confidence in Pat for whatever reason. He ended up going with Alex Caruso at the end of the game to guard Zion Williamson. But it wasn't even Zion that really hurt us. It was Brandon Ingram who hit like 4 shots at the end of the game. He hit a 3. He hit a couple other jump shots. Maybe if you have Pat Williams on Brandon Ingram there at the end of the game, maybe he gets a couple stops, a couple blocks. He had a bunch of blocks in that game, but you know, Billy Donovan just does not have confidence in him to make the right play right now. Can you blame him? I don't know. I think you have to put some more confidence into Pat. If this team's going to do anything going forward, you have to build some confidence in Pat Williams. And I don't know if Billy Donovan is doing that right now. And then even DeMar is not above criticism. He had a stupid turnover at the end of the game. Out of bounds play, sideline out of bounds play. The Bulls are down 3 with about 25 seconds left, and DeMar goes after the ball with one hand, bounces off his foot, and rolls out of bounds. You have to go after that ball with 2 hands and be precious with the ball. Take control of the ball there. Do not let it go out of bounds. That was disappointing to see. And then the Bulls had a couple stupid technical fouls, arguing with the referees. That's 2 points that you gave up there, and then the game came down to about 2 or 3 points. So who knows? Maybe that's the game on those stupid technical fouls by Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan. They got to step it up here going forward. Like I said, this is a tough schedule here. The next few games, they do have a break, but they're going to have to figure out a way to win some of these close games at the end. The Bulls have not closed out any of these close games. And I'm looking at Billy Donovan here. I'm looking at his job security. If you look at Billy Donovan throughout his coaching career, what has he actually done? When has his teams ever overachieved? They had the 1 year in OKC with Chris Paul in the bubble where they overachieved. But even at that point, they still lost the first-round playoff series. He had those teams in OKC before that with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Never really accomplished anything. Never got past the conference finals. And I'm looking at Billy Donovan here, like if you can't turn the corner here, if you can't win some of these close games, I think the Bulls have to look at maybe sending Billy Donovan home. Another thing people are talking about around Chicago is a possible Anthony Davis trade. We've all seen it with the LA Lakers. The Lakers suck. They're one of the worst teams in the league. And now people are saying Are they going to move some of their big pieces like LeBron James and Anthony Davis? And some people want the Bulls to pick up Anthony Davis. Personally, I don't know about this. If you're going to have to move on from guys like Pat Williams, Ayo Dosunmu, some other young players and draft picks for Anthony Davis, I don't know. Anthony Davis has been injured these last few years. He consistently cannot stay on the court. Every year it's something else. And he's played this year. He's been on the court, and he's not taken over for any of these games. Their Lakers are 2-9. So you're one of the best players on that team, and you're 2-9. That doesn't put a lot of confidence in myself into Anthony Davis. I just don't know if he's a game changer like that anymore. 3, 4, 5 years ago, he was looked at as one of the best up-and-coming players in the league. But I think the game has kind of moved past Anthony Davis, unable to stay healthy, and other guys like Giannis and Jokic and Embiid have kind of taken over, and Anthony Davis has kind of taken a back seat to some of those guys. So personally, I wouldn't give up much to get Anthony Davis. Yeah, if it's just Pat Williams and a late round draft pick, maybe I would do it. But at this point, I don't really like that trade. A guy I would look at to trade for is Lauri Markkanen, the former Bull. Yeah, you're probably going to have to give up a lot to get him now, but this guy has really turned the corner in his career, shooting the ball at a dynamite level, attacking the rim, really playing good for that Utah Jazz team, who a lot of people are looking to tank this year, but they have the best record in the NBA at 11-3 at this point, so we'll see if they still go into tank mode, and if so, maybe we can pick up Lauri Markkanen as a piece for the Bulls. But the Bulls do have some time off now. They have some rare time off. They've had a busy start to the season. They will play until Sunday against the Nuggets at home. They're going to have to find a way to win that game against a good Nuggets team. All right, let's get into some who's hot and who's not around the NBA.
Dun, dun, da, da, da. Da, 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 da.
Starting off with who's hot, I'm going with Paul George. 31 points a game over his last 6 games, and the Clippers have won 4 of their last 5 games after a slow start. I had a friend, Armani, he commented on one of my last videos where I was giving my top 10 players in the NBA. He said Paul George should be in there instead of Kawhi Leonard, and maybe he's right, because if you watch Paul George over these last 6 games, he is on a tear. He is being the offensive horse for that team. He is being the stalwart. I really like Paul George and what the Clippers are doing without Kawhi Leonard, who is out with a knee injury right now. And we'll see what happens with that team. If they can get into the playoffs with a high seed and then Kawhi can come back, watch out for that team contending for an NBA title. And who's not? I'm going with an unfortunate one here, Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is my all-time favorite NBA player. Derrick is only averaging 6 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds on the season, while while shooting 38% from the field. That Knicks team isn't doing very well. Derrick's not getting a whole lot of minutes. He was injured for a good part of the season last year, but still, 6 points on 38% from the field is not very good. Derrick is not doing very hot right now. Hopefully Derrick can turn around this season, and look for a possible trade for Derrick to come back to Chicago. I always wanted that to happen. Seems like a good fit. Seems like Derrick could be a good leader on this team, so watch out for that. Hopefully Derrick can turn it around. All right, let's do some shit that pisses me off.
I hate this fucking shit.
I'm probably gonna lose a lot of subscribers on this one because people are pretty passionate about this. But some shit that pisses me off is people and their dogs, especially people with their dogs in Chicago. I live in the city, and I walk around all the time, and all I see is people walking around with their dogs. You live in these small apartments in the city, it's cold weather, and you're walking around with these animals that you think love you so much. They don't love you. The only thing that goes through their heads are territory and food. They don't think of anything else. Are you that lonely that you need a beast to companion you at home? And the other thing, I hear all these, women talking about, single women. I'm a dog mom. I'm a dog mom. No, you're not a dog mom. That's not a substitute for a child. That animal doesn't love you. It isn't a replacement for a child. And then you see these people walking around with these dogs in the city. I don't live downtown, but I walk around downtown sometimes, and you see these dogs pissing in the same little patch of grass on the sidewalk, the same little tree. I mean, this tree's probably been pissed on over 1 million times throughout the year.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It's crazy to see. I don't get it. I don't see the purpose of having a dog or a pet for that matter. I mean, at least if you have a cat, the cat can pretty much take care of itself. But you're walking around in the freezing cold weather picking up another animal's shit. It's crazy to me. I don't get it. And don't get me started on pit bulls. You know I'm going to piss off a lot of people here. People are pretty passionate about their pit bulls. But those things are land sharks. They are extremely dangerous. I don't feel comfortable. One of my neighbor ladies has a pit bull, and every time I see it, I get pretty uncomfortable. That thing is unpredictable. It could go off the leash at any time, and once it gets its jaws around you, good luck getting it off. People and their dogs in the city, that is some shit that pisses me off.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
All right, let's get into my picks of the week. I went 2-1 last week, got back on track a little bit. And then this week, I am going with the Atlanta Falcons -2.5 in Carolina against the Panthers. Atlanta is 6-2 against the spread this season. Cordell Patterson is back. I actually like this Atlanta Falcons team playing above expectations. My second game, I'm going with the New York Football Giants -4.5 against Houston. Giants are an underrated team, and the Texans are ass. I like the Giants -4.5. And then my third game, I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts +6 in Las Vegas. Both teams are bad, but I think the Colts actually rally behind Jeff Saturday this Sunday despite media backlash of that move by Jim Irsay. I don't know. The guy that they had, Frank Reich, wasn't getting the job done. Jeff Saturday is an established player in this league. He's a very smart player. He was a very smart player, so I look for the Colts to rally around them and for Indianapolis to cover the spread against the Raiders. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Sucker Free Sports Talk. Make sure to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. And remember, if you're going to talk sports, always keep it sucker free.